business models focusing on payments are going to be out of business soon if they can't offer instantaneous payment with near zero cost associated for that. They're gonna be kicked out of the business soon.
0.2 cent of a euro for any transaction?
Yeah, I mean, our thesis is that when you move fiat money onto public blockchain networks that have real scalability characteristics, that effectively payments will go to zero. That there will be no business model for payments. There'll be no consumer will ever pay for anything with payments. Merchants will not pay for payments. B2B transactions, international transactions, it will go to zero, just like sharing information on the internet and data is zero, sharing emails zero.
And this scenario explained here is going to happen soon. Why? Because due to the pandemic, it's accelerating all the responses which regulators and governments are executing now.
We can accelerate the engine of global commerce by leveraging these technologies. Bridget, I think, characterized it well. If you can accelerate transactions, reducing the cost, making them far more efficient. I mean, imagine this. SWIFT has a published error rate of 6%. Imagine if 6 out of 100 Google searches resulted in a 404. It's inconceivable. Yet
Yes, that's what the global commerce needs now, an acceleration for the engine of commerce. So as the regulators understand this and regulators from various nations are stepping up their game, we may see soon there is a change in the entire game plan. Now, once we have regulations, what are we actually looking at? We actually have to understand, right? Once we get that regulatory clarity as a XRP holders, what are we guys actually looking at?
The Ripple ecosystem within the XRP ecosystem, that is a multi-trillion-dollar problem.
And I gave you just the biggest softball in the world. I apologize for that.
No, I welcome it. Look, today we announced the largest bank in Kuwait became a customer at Ripplenet.
So that is what we are targeting at, right? Yes, that's trillions of dollars in market. So when that has to be changed, the current system using the Nostro, Vostro, the details, right? It would be changed entirely. Now, if banks and financial institutions have to keep up with these type of evolving payment space, they need to be on this, because soon it's going to be digital, right? One digital fiat to another digital fiat via a neutral universal bridge asset which can scale all these transactions, right? So that's interesting for us, those who are holding XRP. It really gets interesting, because if you actually look at this example plotted by BIS in their website, say when they actually stated that, so when a dollar payment is sent to India, there will be a conversion from dollars to Ripple's XRP and then back to Indian currency, which is INR. So when we enter into a central bank digital currency era, it would be easier to move it from digital dollar to digital rupee. Welcome to the Scientific Investor channel, where we discuss crypto and science behind investing regularly. If you saw value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done that already. If you would like to extend your support for the channel, you can use the Patreon and PayPal link in the description given below. Patreon will allow you to get more value for your portfolio and variety of different assets in your portfolio. You can manage that after having a proper discussion through this. Now, Patreon will also allow you to get through different charts and trading setups for different assets in your portfolio and different opportunities in different assets. Now, as we talk about the changes, this tweet from XRP Crypto Wolf highlights what is coming ahead when we are looking at the Flare network, that integration there. Ripple partner Flare Networks want to create a two-way interoperable bridge for XRP. Now, that is looking at XRP Ledger now being connected with Flare network to use that smart contract. Now, the smart contract is based on one of the Ethereum's platform, right? So once you can get that, say they are already adopting the smart contract platform from Ethereum, and it can be connected to XRP Ledger for settlement, just because of that scalability issue, Ethereum network can't handle that. But if they have to keep up with their space, which is the smart contracts, what they can offer here is settlement via another platform, but smart contracts being executed from them. So both are being valid there, right? The XRP Ledger for settlement and Ethereum network for the smart contract. So both stays relevant there. as we kind of see like the business model is changing from the current financial landscape and we are entering to a new era like this, new business models are coming up. Because if you look at this tweet from Marcus Richter shows running on Ripple, name partners with $10 in Latin America expansion over Ripplenet. So we were talking about expansion of Ripplenet towards Asia Pacific, Latin America, Middle East, Africa and all, right? So when these guys actually state that, we have to keep this in mind. They are stating that with all the clarity that it's gonna be executed or implemented soon. Once they have that clarity, they are informing that to us. So when we actually see these kind of articles showing the expansion of Ripplenet in a time when the globe is going through a crisis, which is looking like recession for some countries, it looks like depression, economic depression for some countries. So at this time, if we are actually seeing adoption, then that's kind of a cool thing to understand that even during an economic contraction, you are getting that kind of a positive vibe, which will actually reflect into the price when we enter into the economic expansion actually. So once we hit the bottom in that area, we will understand that it is going to change. Now, why we actually say it's going to change? Because those who are dealing with the international payments and settlements, say the cross-border payments, say Bank of International Settlements, examined what is the role of central bank digital currencies and how it can be used to just support the cash. Because majority of the nations, say for example Sweden, is taking their cash out because the transactions happening in fiat currency there in cash is really low there. So they are now making it a cashless economy. Now, that being said, if you look at a nation like India, we can see that there is a lot of movements happening there in the payment space. See, this particular tweet kind of takes you towards RIA, which is a Ripple customer expanding its remittance towards Nepal. So that's a different country. So one more corridor being activated using Ripple. Ripplenet allows them to do that. Now, as we focus on that, I would also like to take you guys to this one. As of now, Jio, which is Reliance Group's one of the products. So if you look at that, Reliance is one of a giant in India. If you haven't heard about that, they are everywhere, from telecommunications to oil, everywhere their name is there. And I think that guy, the owner of Reliance, is one among the richest individuals on the planet. So if you look at that, when they are onboarding Axis Bank, ICICI Bank, HDFC, Standard Chartered, Indus India, SBI, Kotak, Yes Bank, RBI, every one of them are in Ripplenet. So that is kind of showing us that the statements made by Ripple executives previously, that majority of the banks in India are in plumbing for Ripplenet, that is kind of established. Now, why this is so important? Because even if you know about India or not, majority of Indians work abroad and they send their loud one via currencies. So the cross-border payments, India receives the majority if you consider the entire world. And if that corridor is going to be activated on demand liquidity, that's going to be huge. Considering any other corridor, this is going to be huge for the cross-border payments. Because if you look at entire Asia and the adoption of Ripplenet, on-demand liquidity, execution of that, along with what we are seeing in the Latin American space, it is improving. Now, when we say that, you have to understand the infrastructure being used for this is also improving. A move to the cloud brings big benefits to banks and financial institutions. What are the benefits? Reduced cost, increased scalability, real-time updates. So that's what we are looking at. Now everything is moving into next generation payments, right? So as we talked initially, that is going to happen. The current business models are going to be kicked out and new business models using new technologies are coming in. When we look at this, we can understand, UK, they are agreeing on retail mortgage payment deferrals. Why? Because the current pandemic or the COVID crisis has kicked in the butt, right? Majority of us, those who are still having a job or having an income, maybe it's investment income, passive income, earned income, whatever it is, they are, blessed. because majority we can look around us and understand the crisis has kicked in and it's still ongoing. It hasn't actually found a bottom yet, right? Nations are looking at the second wave, whether it's coming or not. In some nations it's already there. In some nations like India itself, first wave hasn't yet ended. The number of cases reported per day is increasing, and at the same time the jobless is also increasing. So that kind of thing is setting in. Now China, 4 largest lenders, are facing a funding gap in trillions of yuan to meet global capital requirements designed to protect public and financial system against massive bank failures. Now why are we looking this? Because if one of the giant banks in China is going bankrupt, it automatically have that snowball effect. If you remember Lehman, how that happened in 2008, you would have understand. It's like, one in Europe, one in America. It already started like that. Look at Iceland, it started going bankrupt. In this crisis, just before starting this crisis, we already had emerging countries at the edge of a bankruptcy. Look at nations within Asia, like Pakistan were being about to be funded by the IMF. All those issues were existing, and then this health crisis entered, and by that, the entire space just changed. The need for a new financial system is being increased. Now whether it's organized, planned, or whatever it is, but that is the truth. It is what we are looking at in the near future. Now when we actually say that, this particular tweet from Ian Northing shows there was a meeting by the Brad Garlinghouse in the White House. Now when we say that, you have to understand it's one of the top confidential area in the planet, inside the White House, meeting the president. That is kind of something showing the legitimacy of that organization, which is Ripple. And if you still believe the words which they talk, they are kind of directing it, XRP being the world reserve, in the sense a digital reserve for bridging one fiat to another. And that's what their mission is, right? So in order to reach there, it's step by step, it's a marathon, right? So as they start that marathon, now they have contracts and protection over 2 dozen of products in on-demand liquidity. Customers are there, they are executing payments. But why are we seeing lesser volumes? Because of the IntelliJ protocol's idea of micro payments. Every huge payment can be converted into micro payment, and it can be settled in that manner. So the payments, that scalability allows them to execute that much number of payments per second. So this one kind of summarizes whatever we just said about XRP being a bridge asset for CBDCs and whatever required. If they are going to use separate coins as a corporation, they will also need a bridge asset if they are to do that transaction back towards the digital dollar or whichever fiat they have. So this one kind of gives you that summary and concretes that idea from, these are directly from Ripple. Now when we talk about the entire fundamental shifting like this during a pandemic, and the market for crypto has actually went to the downside, right? So when you actually see articles showing that there are different trends, which you can actually understand that Bitcoin or the crypto market is going to go to the upside, get a price appreciation, you really need to check at the technicals too. Now when we look at the technicals, as we talked previous video, we are within a flag pattern. We haven't actually breached that pattern yet. On a daily chart, it looks like this. Now if you move into a 3-day chart or a weekly chart, it's up to you. You can actually understand that we are still in that parabolic move to the upside. Now in the Patreon group, we were discussing about that. We were plotting different charts, and we came up with some of the interesting conclusions which I'll share here for XRP. That when you actually look at this, connecting all the points here of that move, if you consider that as a small term cycle, what we can see is it came like slowly down. And if you actually look at the momentum there, say for example from here it went to the upside like this, and then it got corrected here. Now from next time, what you have to understand is the angle at which the price is being pumped to the upside. It is differing, right? If you look at that, this movement and this movement has a difference in angle. Now if this is going to be the bouncing point, then the circle or the bottom, the rounded bottom here should be different, right? It should be looking like something like this. Say the bottoms would be like this and the price is going parabolic from that particular point, and it should be taking up to like this, right? So that has to happen. But usually what happens is the price may get a bit of pump and then come back to this level, which is 0.28, 0.27 level, and then get a third pump. Usually that kind of thing happens in the price fluctuations. We understand these by doing technical analysis. Now, one of the key things which you have to understand for XRP in the technical analysis is if you zoom out on a weekly chart, now just without any more indicators than the RSI, you can just understand this simply using a horizontal line. Now, if you plot this horizontal line connecting all these tops here, it looks something like this. The RSI goes to the upside, it gets resisted around 57 to 60, and then it goes back down. Then it goes back down. So it was being repeated all over, and only once it went above that was kind of one fake bull run. That was the disbelief rally, and then on the real bull run. Now if you look at current status, what you can see is it already went up once. So this can be potentially the disbelief rally. Here, if you look at that disbelief rally, plotting that here, you can clearly understand that that went till the previous resistance, whereas this one didn't actually manage to do that. This one didn't actually manage to do that. This one, however, came close to all of these points, right? So it kind of, has something similar based on this fluctuation here, right? It went and reached an area of resistance where the price was being resisted for multiple times, and it was a previous support resistance area as well. Now, if the price is bouncing from here in the RSI, it's going to give us even more bullish signal. But if the history is to repeat, then the price may actually get a bit of correction. Now, when we say correction, first you have to look at this previous resistance turning into support. That would be somewhere around 0.25 to 0.24 depending upon the time, because this is time and it's spatio-temporal, right? If you are looking at the space of movement and the time, it may come even around 0.24. But what if this flag is still being valid and the price is just bouncing off from here? Then that is invalid. We are not going to come down here. Instead, we would be testing the level of resistance around 0.34. And if we manage to break that, we would be going to the upside again, as we measured previously, a 60 to 70% measured move just for this pattern. And look at the change of trend, meaning we were within this bearish trend moving to the downside, and we just broke above that, showing a bullish rally inside a bearish trend. Because if you look at the overall scenario, it's still in a bearish movement. We haven't actually made a new level of high which kind of gives or takes away previous losses like 0.5 or 0.7, right? If we are to make above 0.5, that is kind of a symbol that yes, we made it, we are in a bull run. But this also gives us an indication that time of waiting is kind of over, and it's, for me, it looks like it's kind of a buy the dip moment for XRP holders. So guys, hope you understood what the point I was trying to illustrate. If you saw value in the content, please do support the channel, hit that like button and subscribe button if you haven't done that already. If you are new to the channel, please do check out the Patreon link. You'll understand what are the additional value proposition shown there. If you see value and if you really need to get that, you can go for it. Otherwise, just skip it. It's not necessary. It's completely up to you. Only if you have different assets in your portfolio and you want to get charts, setups, and to understand what are the other assets which have opportunities, you can go through it. If you're only looking at XRP, then no need. Scientific Investor channel itself gives you majority of the information required for XRP.